We will do this. The best advice after 20 years of programming experience. I've been programming for 20 years, but I haven't been programming professionally for 20 years. Okay, so let's find out.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? In this video, I'm going to share you what I have learned in the past 20 years of being an engineer, right? The reason why
By the way, Excalidraw mentioned. Let's go. Best graphing platform of all time. Let's go.
I'm doing this is because I get a lot of questions, of course. Right? People are asking me a lot of questions. I see a lot of people taking the wrong decisions, the wrong road paths. And most of all, I think most of you are a slave of the tech community, right? You're basically hunting meta to meta to meta, right? There is a new language, I want to have a job there, we're going to learn that language. Oh, there is another framework coming out, we're going to learn that framework. Oh, I don't like React, I'm going to do Svelte, and so on, right? So basically, if you're a developer, if you're an engineer, you're going to have a career path, right? And that's going to be a timeline. You're going to start your career path, and hopefully it's going to be a long-lasting career, you know what I mean? Full of happiness and joy, you know what I mean?
That was a good point, by the way. I really did like the meta chaser. Meta chasing can be really, really, really painful. I've seen a lot of people that they swear and die by like every new thing that comes out. Like I like a nice little quick investigation just to see what things are about. See if there's anything cool about it. But often I see those things, I'm like, okay, they're neat, they're nice. That I can see some differences, I can see some things that are cool. But at the same time, I don't really like. It doesn't change anything we're doing, right? I know we talked a little bit earlier about like change in kind. It's not a change in kind. It's just like the same thing, but from a different perspective. It's one of the reasons why I've just really appreciated HTMX. Is because HTMX felt like a change in kind from just these React heavy front end type things, right? It was really nice. It was really nice just to be like, okay, we don't need that. We can actually do things in a simpler, easier, faster way. HTMX taking lessons from the past. Well, I mean, to be fair, HTMX is just a rewrite of intercooler. HTMX is actually just older than pretty much all technologies as far as the web goes. HTMX literally improved my mental health. Sorry for not turning off the alerts, and man, was that loud. That was loud. I'm sorry. Flip, take that. Flip. You kind gentleman, Flip, could you take that out?
And what you're going to do, most of the time, you're going to start with some kind of a language. Everybody needs to start somewhere. Most of you will probably have some background in C or Java or something if you're coming from uni.
I loved the Java. Hell yeah. Get that Java. Even the translation was just like Java. That's pretty great. That's pretty great. Ooh, that's pretty great. But this is true. I mean, my initial experience was in Java. Java 1.5 and 1.6. And so, yeah, and in C, right? Like that was kind of like my growing up were those two languages. JavaScript only came much later for me. JavaScript wasn't something that I did at first, which is also really surprising because I realize, now that I say this out loud, there's an entire, we also talked about this a while ago. Oh, I don't have it anymore. That like right now, the slice of tech worker pie, such a huge percent of them are going to be boot camp, right? They're going to be these boot camp people that just went through 3, 6, 9 months of JavaScript, right? And like it's a very different kind of experience than what I had. L circle, it was an okay circle, okay? It was okay. It was okay. Can we just at least agree that it was okay? But I feel like, you mean JavaScript? Yeah, it was JavaScript. It's kind of this interesting thing that's happening, which is that so many more, like, you would think that people growing up in technology, we would all have some level of something similar that we could kind of share and all be able to have like a common foundation of. But I find that I don't have a lot of common foundation with a lot of programmers. Like we all have, it's actually pretty surprising how much differences people can like come into programming. I mean, I've met people that come in through programming through Lua and Roblox, through Java and Minecraft. Like unironically, Java and Minecraft is a huge amount of people that come into the programming world. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool experience, but it also means that we have a fundamental breakdown in direction, in how to become better, in how and like expectations of engineers, not being able to exit Vim, real redstone problems. I mean, we all have redstone problems, okay?
Which is nice to have. I think especially if you have a C++ or a C background. or very proficient in it, I think that's a superpower to have, because then you actually know how computers work, how memory work, how memory is moving and all that stuff. Very important, to be honest. But nonetheless, it doesn't really matter. You're going to start with some kind of a language. Could be PHP for most. That's how it started with me. PHP, JavaScript, TypeScript, whatever, right? And as your career progresses, you're going to be on Twitter, you're going to be on YouTube, you're going to be on Reddit, and I don't think that's a good thing.
He didn't mention Twitch, but we'll forgive him, okay? Okay, hey, Twitch, you guys, you guys matter, okay? Hey, come on. Hey, right now, everybody tell Anthony how much you guys like him, okay? Tell him that. Quora, everybody loves Quora. I turned it away just in time to see I literally give you guys one opportunity to be on screen, and what's the first thing you give me, Isaiah?
Especially if you're young and you're very influential, right? That's basically what we are, what I am. We are influencers. That's what they call us, and we want to try to influence you so we can sell something to you. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be completely honest here.
What is he selling?
And so,
what is Anthony selling? By the way, if you don't know, he is selling a right here, 33% off his Go, HTMX, and Temple courses. By the way, you should probably buy that. Go, HTMX, and Temple, hell yeah. That's a W. That is a W right there. That ain't no bridge. That's a W. Okay, that's what I see. That's a W right there. Temple OS, no. Temple, the Go JSX thing. You know what I mean? Very, very good. I like it. The goth stack, as some people call it.
you're gonna see these things on Twitter, like, oh, there's a new framework, and you're gonna learn that new framework, and then something else comes, a new language. I don't know, Gleam, what it's today, Gleam, and then it's Rust, and you have Zig and all that stuff. You're gonna learn all these languages. You know what I mean? And you're gonna hop metas from the moment they basically are being created, right?
By the way, I actually do think there's some value to learning Zig, especially if you're planning on trying to be more low-level hardware and stuff like that. I think Zig actually has. I think Zig's future in that area is really, really big. I think it's kind of proven itself in the sense that Bun uses Zig, dropped Rust. Tiger Beetle uses Zig. It's just the right thing. I think you'll just start seeing more and more Zigs where people struggle to make Rust work. I think they'll see Zig. Just because Zig has 80% of the safety that Rust has and about 80% easier to write. You know what I mean? It just makes life really nice. I actually think Zig is a really cool. I think out of all the like trendy languages that have come out, I think Zig has one of the coolest concepts, one of the coolest futures out of anything. Is Zig the new C? I think Zig is the new C. I don't think Zig is trendy. Zig is definitely trendy. Zig is most certainly trendy. Okay, Zig is in the trendy group of languages. Zig is incredible. Zig makes easy compiling of even C libraries. In fact, some libraries are so easy to compile with Zig that it's easier to take a C program, import it via Zig, and compile it via Zig than using the C tooling to compile that C program. Like, that's how good Zig is. I love it as a C compiler. You are literally not the only person that I see people talk about this. Like, Zig is shockingly good. It is great. Is there a reason to switch from C to Zig? Yeah, Zig has a lot of super cool stuff. I know this is about 20 years of programming advice and all this kind of stuff, and I think I know where he's going, and I really like the direction he's going. But one thing to sell you on Zig is that it doesn't have macros. It has Zig. And so it can do compile time Zig programming, meaning that you can write code that executes at compile time to create Zig. So it's Zig that creates Zig. So there's no special syntax. Just a good old fashioned Zoomer like me and you, us youngsters, right? Can just simply create compile time stuff. They renamed it template/macro. Did they? Well, whatever they named it, I don't care. It is Zig to produce Zig. Comp time. It's honestly one of the coolest, it's one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time because it takes all the suck out of writing. I mean, templates are close enough. It's close to generics, right? It's really interesting. It's very, very interesting. Like, Rust is extremely difficult to write a good macros in. To become good at macros, it's really, really hard. And to become like really good at proc macros, it's even harder. There's no generics in Zig. You don't need generics because you have comp time. Comp time is generics, right? It's pretty cool. Definitely, it's worth just reading on and just knowing that it exists. And if you're interested in like the embedded world, it most certainly is like a real bright spot in that world.
But the problem is, guys, I was just like you, right? It's a phase, right? In your life, you're gonna have phases, and in my opinion, it's not bad that you're going through these phases.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is to basically warn you that you probably, or you're most likely going to do the wrong thing, in my opinion. Right. So you need to understand that the moment you're basically going to learn a new meta, right? The moment you're going to learn a new meta, what's going on here? That's the moment you're already shot yourself in the foot. Because these metas, they're basically coming as fast as you learn them. You know what I mean?
That's kind of a hard take for me to fully agree with. I'm half on, half off. And what I mean by that is, let's go with this. Let's go with OCaml. I spent a little bit of time looking at OCaml. I've never done a functional language. Now I'm vaguely familiar with the functional language. I can kind of do a functional language. I would still like to spend a lot more time learning about it. I'd like to become proficient at it, but it's just not on my things to do list, right? And during that time, I also got to see a really unique way of thinking. And there's something very special about that. And what I mean by that is that when you get the opportunity to think differently, it can flow back into your existing skill set to make you a much better programmer, to make you see things in a bigger and more complete way. So, do I think you should be jumping all the time? No, I don't. Should you have planned meta learn sessions? Absolutely. Like, absolutely. I think it's really, really important. And so it's kind of like you gotta. There's definitely a balance here, and I think he's getting to this point. I think what he's addressing is the hyper changers, the ones that are that just like I spent 2 years doing Rust because I just wanted to learn Rust. I wanted to get it. I wanted to use it for every side project. I wanted to really understand it. Now I'm going to do the same thing with Go. These are planned, intentional. Let's get proficient at something different. And I like that. Like, for me, that's really, really nice. And then I had my base, which was working at my job, building out network protocols or building out testing infrastructure, building out simulations, right? Like, I had my core getting better at my core, plus I had my ability to go explore different things. And so I think when you put those two things together, it's really good. When all you do is hop, I think it kind of becomes frustrating, or maybe it builds like an anxious feeling in your heart a little bit. You know what I mean? Because you're constantly changing.
Moment you're going to start learning a new framework, a new language, it's already too late because something else is coming up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The point is not to chase a fad. I'm totally on his team.
And you're going to jump to this one. And the moment you learn this one, it's already too late because there is a new one. You know what I mean? And this is going to block your whole career because you're going to do this thing. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be back to PHP, back to JavaScript, and it's Golang, and it's Rust, and then you know what I mean? It's going to be an endless.
This is really good. This is a really good take, which is you should have a goal in mind. You know what I mean? You should have a goal in mind. So like when I did Rust, I had a goal in mind that I wanted to be able to write a basic CLI application as fast or faster than I do in Node, and I wanted to build a few of them and get good at async to the point where I don't have async skill issues. And I wanted to understand Rust at least at some level. I didn't care about learning how macros work. I didn't want to have to learn every last little memory layout thing. I just wanted to be proficient with it and to be good enough that if I were to jump on a team, I could do that. I understand lifetimes. I can do lifetime annotations. I can do most of it, right? I kind of can do traits and passing around things and build more like trait generic type operations and be able to build something that's more abstracted in the Rust way. But, like, not fantastic. Like, that was kind of my goal, was to get pretty good at the language, right? Get pretty good. Async is a pain. Of course, async is people are saying async is awful, async is a pain, async is amazing. Async, depending on the language, is very, very different. Async in JavaScript is just simpler than async in Rust. Async in every language is a little bit different. But I had goals. I had an idea in my mind. And as Elixir became really popular, as OCaml became really popular, as other things became really popular during my tenure in Rust, I stuck with Rust, though I did a brief moment to go like look at them for just like a day. Go, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. But I stuck with Rust, and that was an intentional thing because I was not willing to go learn something different. And so now I'm doing it again with Go. These are intentional, thoughtful decisions, and no matter what comes up that's really popular, Gleam, whatever it is, I'm not going to go chase it. I'm going to stick with Go, and I'm going to really learn Go, and I'm going to see, okay, is this the thing that I want to specialize in for the next 5 years? I'm going to do 1 year of Go, and if at the end of 1 year I've really enjoyed it, I'm going to go for another year. And if at the end of that year I really enjoy it, I'm going to go for probably 5 years in it, and really try to lean in on that, if you know what I mean.
It's a rabbit hole, and it's never bad to learn new frameworks. It's never bad to learn new languages. But the most important thing is that all this stuff, guys, right? And like I said, this is a video without any ads, without any course selling shenanigans. It's just from me, pure to the heart to you guys. All this stuff here, right, is noise. Noise.
Noise. That's beautiful. Noise. Noise. Yo, you're nice. You're noise in my noise. My guess is he meant noise, not noise, right? I think that's what he was saying there. Just in case anyone's wondering, I disagree. It can be bad because you fool yourself, but you think that is what he is saying. Not really sure I don't know what you're disagreeing with. You say Go is boring, but I'm heaving lots of fun learning it. Yes, Go is boring. It's a boring language. Like genuinely, it's a boring language. Really, really boring language. Okay? Do you have these really amazing type unions? Can you do proc programming? Can you do procedural macros? Do you have can you take the language to build the language? No, it's simple. It's boring. It's intentional. I like it, right? There's a difference, right? I like it. I'm not saying just because something's boring does not mean it's bad or does not mean it's like it's not fun, okay? If you really want to break things down, Elden Ring is boring. You walk around, you know you're going to dodge, you know you're going to fight, and that's it. Like, hold on. The concept of Elden Ring is very simple. Everybody understood what was about to happen after about 15 minutes of playing Elden Ring. But I loved it. I died over and over and over and over and over again, and I will keep on dying and keep on loving it. I could start Elden Ring right now and have a great time, but I fully know everything that's about to happen. There is no surprises. There is no like, holy cow, I didn't realize you could fly, right? Like there's no things there. It's fun. It's amazing due to the fact of how simple or how boring it is. There's nothing to it that's like crazy. You get to discover and make little discoveries and all that. I absolutely love it. They fly now. Like, I absolutely love it, right? I absolutely love it. Elden Ring and Go share a lot in common. Amazing, right? This is not some hyper complex world in which you have to be like super like there's some games that are like there's so much to it. It's extremely complex. There's so many things you have to do. This one's very nice, very simple, very to the point. And you're just fighting and destroying. Oh my goodness. Absolutely love Elden Ring. Oh my goodness. I love it. Right? Anyways.
Golang.
By the way, the moment that Elden Ring Erdtree comes out, you know I'm going to play like 24 hours straight. You know that, right? I'm going to turn into a crackhead and play 24 hours straight of Elden Ring. You know that's going to happen, right? Damn straight I am. You know why? And I already know exactly what I'm getting into. There's no questions. Nobody's going to be confused as to what's about to happen. Oh, Pick. You can join in our worlds because remember, it's like that. I forget what the name. It starts with an S, but they have like that leveling where no matter how leveled you are, it will level with you. I forget the name of it. Oh, man, I'm going to go deep. Pick, you can come join me if we can finger each other or whatever you call it. What do they call it in Elden Ring? Huh? We got to get like fingers and do something to get each other in the same game. They call it sex. Is that what you do? I know it involves a finger and then you get to come into my game. I somehow made that worse. I actually somehow said it in such a way that's actually worse than what it... Pick, you're not coming into my game, okay? Flip, take this part out. You know what? Just take the entire Elden Ring analogy out. Take it all out. This was a mistake. Okay, this was clearly a mistake here. Okay.
JavaScript, TypeScript, PHP, Python, React, SvelteKit. It's Supabase and that other thing that just removed their free tier. Planet Scale. Noise. These is not what matters. They don't matter. If they blow up tomorrow, nobody cares. That's what it needs to be in your mind. If tomorrow Golang explodes, it's not big of a deal. You know what I mean?
Docker may slightly disagree with that statement, but I see what he's saying. If you could just no longer do Golang tomorrow, you could move on and use something else, right?
What does matter is this, guys. Beautiful, isn't it? Look at that. This is a flag.
Well done.
This is what matters. Right?
Is it the American flag?
And this is basically the goal or the solution. Right? Because a lot of people are coming into programming because they see it on TikTok, they see it they hear it from friends, they think it's cool because we can wear a hoodie and a headset and we can watch, we can listen to music.
What do you think he means by that? Just a real question. Like, Anthony, what are you trying to say? Okay, Anthony, what are you trying to say here? Because all of a sudden I feel a little attacked.
And we can be coding and it's nice and we are hackers but I'm going to tell you something. After a certain time, this is going to be exact the same feeling as any other job on the planet. You know what I mean? At a certain time, and it's not only with programming, it's a life lesson. Everything becomes boring at a certain point of time.
I believe J.R.R. Tolkien said it best. Not all that glitters is gold. I find the acceptance of being okay with boring makes things easier. Isn't that Smash Mouth? Yeah, it's definitely Smash Mouth. You know what I mean? Like, when you accept the fact that you truly are doing the same thing over and over again, it's all if statements, for loops, and variable declarations. Like, at the end of the day, like, that's what it is. Like, all programs are just that. You know, it hurts. You can still, like, the thing is that's why I say this a lot, which is you have to try to find joy, right? You have to try to cultivate it. You have to become excited about the problem you're solving. Think about the ways you can make something good. Think about the ways you can really, who is Joy? Where is she? It's something like, even like right now, one of my tasks at my current job is really, really boring, I think, for a lot of people. But I love the challenge of trying to make something stable, how to improve logging, observability, testability, change stabilization, all that kind of stuff. Like, really trying to make things like great, I think is like maybe it's a point of pride or something, but it just makes me happy. You know what I mean? It just makes me happy to do those kind of things. Whoopsies. I just banned you. You can be unbanned. But if you tell me what to do, you get out. Just so you know. It's a rule of mine. You come in here and you tell me what to do, you get out. Sorry you got banned, whoever just got hit with the stray. Sorry for that for a second. I unbanned you. Don't tell me how to live my life, okay? I don't tell you how to live yours. You don't tell me how to live mine.
It's the same with relationships. You have a 10 years marriage that becomes boring. And then you think that the grass is greener on the other side and you're going to break up because some beautiful girl is there. But she's going to be beautiful and she's going to be amazing for 6 months.
Girl mention. I know a lot of you don't understand girl. I know, very confusing topic for a lot of Arch users. They do exist. They're not just an image on your body-sized pillow. Okay, they're actually real. I know, hard to imagine, but girls are fake. Government drones. But real. Dang it! Shut up. But there is something very amazingly true about this, and again, I think the same advice I just said for programming actually works exactly what he's talking about. I've been married for, 12 years, 13 years, something like that. 2008, whatever. Wait, 2008? What year did I get married? Hell, what year did I get married? 2011? I think I got married in 2011. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. I got married at some point, and it doesn't matter. You can send my wife that I don't remember what year we got married. I'm pretty sure it's 2011. I'd have to go back and look. You don't have to take this out, Flip. You can keep this in. You can zoom in, Flip. That's not the important part, right? That doesn't make it important, right? That doesn't make a good relationship. What makes a good relationship is wanting to care for someone, finding the joy, even in the mundane things. It's the exact same thing, right? It's all the same, right? He's already a dead man. Nice save. Nice save. You guys think that I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. Couch Knight, absolutely not.
Right. And then it's just back to the beginning. You know what I mean? That's what it is. The grass is never greener on the other side. Of course, there are edge cases, of course. But in general, the grass is never greener on the other side. That's an illusion. And the grass is always greener because we are bored. Right? And it's the same in programming. Because if you write PHP for 6 years, you're going to be bored. You're going to be bored as fuck. You know what I mean? It's
the closed captioning just avoided the word fuck. Did you see that? Oh, no, but this is a great take. L take? No, this is a great take. L take, really. Bored in Lambos. Okay, hit me why, Stinky Potato. Bring it up, Stinky Potato. Why is that an L take? I do use a yoga ball just popped. Come on, Stinky Potato. Bring it on. Bring it in. Programming for many years is fun. That's your answer back. First off, is your name Devin by any chance? Second off, of course, aspects of it become boring. The thing I think you're missing here is when he says doing something for 6 years, he means doing the same thing, right? As mentioned, let's go. Like, if you are building the same type of application over and over again in PHP, it's going to become boring. Literally, your life becomes boilerplate. Maybe you're making great money. Maybe you're doing great things. Maybe you're living that PHP Lambo life. But nonetheless, you're still building the same thing. I keep my job fresh by doing coke on the job. Okay, interesting move. I mean, that will make things feel more exciting, probably. Mentioned, let's go. Well, I mean, it's true, though. Like, you can't... The danger I don't want to see with people. Okay, the reason why this is important to me. The danger that I see with people is that they're expecting their job to make them happy. You know, it's like the inverse of what I said, right? When I say you need to find joy, people are expecting happiness, okay? And those are very, very different. One is like watching TV. It's just like, it just hits you, right? The other one is like more like playing the game, right? You have to go out and you have to be active in the process. And so they're like opposites. You can't just because you're doing the thing does not mean you're going to get happiness. You know, one of the biggest disappointments in my life was my first job. My first job was so bad that I switched to mechanical engineering, okay? That's how bad my first programming job. I thought I hated programming. I literally thought I hated programming. You know, my expectations were all effed up and all that. I think you're right, but I still think it's an L take. What the... First off, I'm not even gonna let you answer yourself for this, but this statement makes no sense. Did you just call yourself an L take? Like, you know, you're right. He's out of line, but he's right. What the hell does that even mean?
Gonna be a job like anybody else. Like somebody is selling burgers at McDonald's. Somebody is basically...
Okay, it's not that bad. Okay, like I've done many years at the fast food restaurant. Okay? Some of us were sandwich artistes at Subway. And I'll tell you this much. It can be quite mind-numbing. Okay? You know what's really upsetting is when you use that motherfucking tomato cutter. And as you pull down, because the blades have been overused, they get a little bit dull, and you squash the tomatoes instead of cutting the tomatoes. Okay, you know how effing annoying that is? You know what that feels like? If you don't know what I'm talking about, you've never had a shitty job, okay?
Stamping papers each day, you know what I mean? Counting sausages. It's the same thing. Everything becomes boring.
I heard Pick likes to count sausages.
What you need to learn, guys, is that you need, instead of having joy, right? Instead of having, because like I said, if you're writing JavaScript for 5 years and then suddenly, oh, Rust. Wow, Rust gives me so much dopamine. It's such a joy to work with. Our engineering team is so pleased. They are so happy that we can use Rust. They are so productive. No, they were bored. That's what it is, right? And now they are productive, right? But in 6 months, they're going to shoot themselves in the fucking foot. You know what I mean? Back to TypeScript. You know,
I fully agree with that take.
Circle of life. Instead of having joy out of your noise, right? Instead of getting dopamine out of your Vim configuration, instead of getting
okay, maybe that's like a bridge too far. Okay, handcrafting, artisanal, personal development experiences can be a joy that can be had for many years. Making things the exact way you want them, I find that to be a nice. I just find that to be like a nice leisurely activity. You know what I mean? I do think that that's like a leisurely activity, is taking the time to build something the way you want it to be. I find that to be very, very nice. And so, though I understand what he is saying, again, which is if you're using your Vim configuration to escape the boredom, you are going to, like, there's a problem there. But if you use your Vim, like what I do is I use my Vim configuration as a way to just make me better at my job, right? I find the things that I find repetitive and boring and try to automate it into a very nice little set of keystrokes or something that makes life easier, right? This video is just calling out PrimeGen. It could be. I mean, I like Anthony. I think he's great. Maybe he is calling me out. Maybe he isn't. I don't think he is, but I think I understand this. Like, I think there's something he's trying to say in here, and maybe he's not expressing it with the right words, which it's this, right? Like, being happy with what you have versus trying to make it be the meaning of your life, right? Like, work has always meant to be satisfying. It's never meant to be the meaning. And I think a lot of people kind of confuse those things. Like, when you work really hard and you build something, you're proud of it. It feels amazing, right? You're like, I built that. And it doesn't really matter what it is, from some stupid farming thing because you guys think you're all farmers, or some programming, right? You're happy that you built it, that it's your work that has produced it. And that's being satisfied, right? There is a satisfaction of it. And so when I say, finding joy, I mean becoming satisfied and expecting from work the thing that it can bring, which is satisfaction. It may not bring excitement. It may not bring all these other things. Absolutely. Having a better Vim configuration doesn't make life better, right? It may make a few things nicer for you, but it doesn't fundamentally alter anything. It's not a change in kind. It's just still the same thing, just slightly better.
Dopamine about your closures and your camel bullshit. You need to find joy.
First off, don't make fun of OCaml, okay? OCaml's very interesting, okay? I can't believe he's dunking on OCaml. Poor OCaml. Okay, this now it does officially feel like it's targeted. Okay, it does.
Productive, right? But in 6 months, they're gonna shoot themselves in the fucking foot. You know what I mean? Back to TypeScript. That's the circle of life. Instead of having joy out of your noise, right? Instead of getting dopamine out of your Vim configuration, instead of getting dopamine about your closures and your OCaml bullshit, you need to find joy in your goal and your solution. Because this is where the money is, right? And it's not about money, I understand, but who doesn't like money? You know what I mean?
Idiocracy quote? I like money. I feel like we're on the same team. Right? I feel like we're on the same team. I like money, right? Which is this is much nicer, right? Change is fun. Change is good. Change makes things feel better. But finding the joy is good. Pre-watched. I knew it.
This is where the money is, right? Your goal and solution should be your main driver of your reward system. The goal and the solution should be something that you want to chase time after time after time. It's your high. It's your cocaine. You know what I mean?
But the problem with what he's saying right there is he's literally recreated this part over here and just did it again, right? Don't chase the high, right? Like that's fundamentally what he just got done saying for so long. Don't chase the high, right? The high, that's what caused, that's probably, I think one thing, I'm going to make a real hot statement here. Okay, we're about to make a real hot statement. Are you ready for this one? Which is that I think one of the fundamental problems that is going on here in this entire solution right here is that we make more than enough money. And I think that once you get past the struggles of life and you no longer worry about the requirements, but you worry about the wants, I think that things can become very muddled and very difficult. I think it's very easy to become dissatisfied once you cross a certain point. And so there's something very interesting about this, that some of the problems that we're even discussing right here is due to the fact that there's more than enough money that you're earning. Like, software engineering tends to be disproportional to the median income of any area, right? Typically, that's why people call us adult day. That's why literally Google's referred to as adult daycare, right? Typically, it is. In the U.S., it's also true in other places, too. The median income tends to be disproportionately, you tend to be higher than the median income in most locations. Not all locations, in a lot of locations. I want to go to $300,000 adult daycare. Yeah, I know, but the median is shit. The median is where half the people live. Okay? It is a first world problem. I'm just saying this isn't... These boxes aren't far apart, and I wonder how much is created. I mean, I'm just hypothesizing here, which is how many problems are created because need is not quite there, right? How much of these things that we're experiencing is because of that? Like, you know, we saw earlier with the DHH article that he was claiming, I don't know if it's true, 97% of the world had the farm. I'm not saying farming's fun. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's a great time. I'm saying there's plenty of terrible things that happen with farming. People always just take the stupidest roads when you mention anything, and they just go right to the dumbest thing. Oh, yeah, well, back then people died more. You're like, yeah, you're right. That's what I was talking about. I was saying let's die more. No, people were like... Your work directly went straight to your life. Like, you had to perform this task to continue to live. Like, there's a little bit more need in your work. Your work actually had real purpose. Now it's like, hey, I increased viewership by 0.01% this month. You're like, does that really do anything for you? It doesn't really do anything for you. You don't feel more like, oh yeah, I did something, right? And I think that's why it's so exciting to work at a startup sometimes, because you're actually feeling like you're steering the ship, or you're doing something. You're actually building something. Your direct work over a product. You have more control. It feels more exciting. You know what I mean? Anyways.
And if you change your mindset on your goal and solution, everything becomes clear in your path, because you're not going to care about the noise anymore. Of course, noise is important here, right? These languages are important, right? But if you think about a goal and a solution, if you think about efficiency, right? If you think about life as a business, even though you're not an entrepreneur, or you're not self-dependent of something, it doesn't really matter. Life is always a business. You want to do some things the most efficient way in the least amount of time. You know what I mean? That's what you want. That's what...
Generally, I don't agree with that with all life advice. Not everything is done to be efficient. I think sometimes one of our biggest curses right now is the desire to make everything efficient. This might be the one place that Anthony and I disagree here, which is that I don't think efficiency is top shelf. We're going to let the man cook, but we're addressing this point, because if I let him cook, he's going to change topics, and then all of a sudden we can't go back to this, okay? I do think the continuous drive for efficiency can really hurt relationships. It can really hurt a lot of things, just because sometimes the point is to be inefficient. Like, if I'm hanging out with my wife, the point is to just hang out with my wife. The point is to be there in the moment, right? It's not to be like, all right, we got to have like a really great date starting now and ending now. It's like, no, let's be loose on the start time. Let's be loose on the end time. Let's not try to optimize it. Let's just let the things happen. Because honestly, if we're going to be optimized, we should come in with a preset of questions we need to ask each other. We should come in like with some thought through answers of how we're feeling about situations. We should come in already like it's going to be a one-on-one with your boss, but it's with your wife, right? Like, that would be efficiency. Fun, engaging. We will ask questions until connection is improved, right? But that's not how you build something. Not all things need to have a Jira ticket. You know what I mean? You know, my wife is my boss. At least she thinks she is. Okay, well, thank you, brand new chatter. Appreciate that. And so I don't want everything to be about efficiency. I build projects sometimes just to build a project, just to learn. Your take is a W, but your example is L. Really? Enjoying the time just to enjoy it as an L? I don't think so. Because if you are efficient, you come in with pre-planned stuff. You don't have to come in with pre-planned stuff. Like, my only plan is to find out more. Like, that's it. To discover more about the beautiful wife. A lot of L chatters today. But really, I don't want... I beg you, don't make efficiency your number one thing. Like, you should be efficient when it comes to efficient things, right? Like, if you want to... If you have to go through 100 tasks and do X on each one of those tasks, yeah, be efficient. Absolutely. But there's some things that you just gotta fuck around. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just gotta go and explore. Sometimes you want to make TCP connections to a Golang server from Vim, not because you need to, but because you can. We do what we must because we can. Aperture science. Okay? Sometimes you gotta live that aperture science life.
That's basically what every CEO or CTO is looking for. They are looking for developers that can do stuff as efficient as possible in the least amount of time and come to a solution.
Yeah.
That's important.
I mean, that's true.
And it doesn't matter if you pick something from this, right? It doesn't matter if you use Golang or PHP or JavaScript or Elixir or Ruby or Python. It doesn't really matter.
I will say that how Anthony just said Elixir was probably the sexiest thing I've ever heard to my ears. Just going to be real here, okay? I can say that about another man, totally normal. But I'm pretty sure that was ASMR. I'm like 99% positive that would be considered ASMR.
Do stuff as efficient as possible in the least amount of time and come to a solution. That's important.
Here we go.
And it doesn't matter if you pick something from this, right? It doesn't matter if you use Golang or PHP or JavaScript or Elixir or Ruby or Python. It doesn't really matter. Right?
Elixir.
You pick something that you...
Elixir. Oof. That was so good. That was so good. It was so good. It was good. That was great. I mean, I loved that.
You're just proficient in. That you master, because people, I see a lot of.
I do want to time him out though for a quick second here. He mentioned a bunch of different things, and sometimes your job will require different things for different reasons. And engaging in the noise to discover efficiencies can make you even more efficient at your job because you know which noise to listen to. Right? There's definitely a thing there. There's definitely which noise. Hey, don't noise my noise, right? Like, there's definitely like a thing there that can be interesting, right? It's hard. You have to engage with the noise. Don't make noise your personality.
Conversations where people move languages.
Don't chase all trends.
They think they're gonna get being paid more, right? Oh, I want to be a Golang developer because I'm gonna get more money. I'm gonna be a Rust developer because.
By the way, I that's why I didn't chase the OCaml stuff. Even though I really think OCaml is super cool, I really like the idea of becoming much better at OCaml. It's just that I realize that every single day, average people are not going to see the benefit of using OCaml. And I did not want to do that and make a bunch of people excited and learn something in which they're going to get, besides for like the spiritual benefit of learning about functional programming, they're not going to have any sort of real practical goodness. And it's part of my responsibility to make sure that if I'm going through something, I want to be pretty serious about it. You know, I want to be serious about doing that. What I mean by spiritual is like it's the ability to look at a problem differently, right? The ability to see a plane of existence in a different way. And so it's like it's a different experience, right? It's a different experience than just simply always doing OOP or always doing procedural. It's holistic development, right? And so I love the idea of writing OCaml. I think it has a lot of really super cool positive things. But I realize that if I were to go down this, I don't know like how great I'm doing to the broader stuff. And so that's why I try to focus on what I think are really great future things. I think Rust has a lot of potential. And I think Go already has the potential, plus has more potential to come. That's why I've switched from Rust to Go, is that I think it's probably the best possible future for a while. Because
they're going to pay me more. if that is your, of course, you want to make money. I understand that. I want to make money as well, right? Everybody wants to make money. But this is the bad driver. You know what I mean? That's the worst driver you can ever have. Because what you're going to do is you're going to cock block yourself, right? Because you're going to learn a language for 30%, and then you're going to learn another language for 20%, and you're going to learn another language for 10%. And then, oh, this is not good enough. You're going to take this language. Well, look at that. It's bending even. You know what I mean? And you're never going to be proficient. You're always going to be frustrated. You're always going to have questions. Nothing is going to be clear. You're not going to see the patterns. You're not going to see the building blocks. And they are in every single language the same. All these patterns, all these ways of constructing something, letting your imagination, letting your creativity to work to come to a solution, and then make it better, and even maybe then make it faster. Listen, every single language is the same. And if I need to make something for a client, if I need to make something for my company, or you need to make something for your company, as fast as possible, you most likely are going to pick the wrong language because you're getting your dopamine from that language, and you're not.
That's why I've pretty much written every last internal tool I've ever written for Netflix in JavaScript. Not because I think it's the best. I've even stated that I think it was one of the worst languages I possibly ever chose because it made it take seconds longer to execute. But I knew that it interacted with the system the best. I knew that I was going to make the best decision for my career by choosing the language that is most supported, despite it being the objectively worst language to choose. Like, literally, objectively worst language to choose. All I did was for loops. Like, millions of for loops. It took seconds upon seconds. I changed from dot for each to literally for const of seconds of improvement in the program. It was shocking that even that alone made a big difference. And so it's just like, dude, man, I know for a fact I chose the wrong thing. No recursion at all. Why would you use recursion? Imagine recursion in JavaScript. Like, oh yeah, that's what I need. I need it to be even slower and use more memories. I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. I was already under emotional duress, with what was happening. You know what I mean? So your IQ bumps 20 points if you do recursion. It does. It does. Anyways, so it's just like a thought. Like, I've intentionally chosen technologies that I'm not happy about, but I did it. Now, I did a quick, brief exploration into my recent tool. I did the initial exploration in Rust because I knew I was going to throw it away no matter what, because I always do that whenever I do a first kind of run. I know that I'm throwing things away. Super proficient in Rust, built it using Rust. It was a lot of fun. And then I said, okay, now that I'm done using, like, now that I know what we're building, I rebuilt it, used TypeScript because I already know. Or actually, I used JSDoc. I actually didn't use TypeScript. I used JSDoc, which, by the way, way better. Holy cow, was that a much better decision to make. I used JSDoc, and it was super, super awesome. Such a good choice. Very, very happy. Very, very happy with that decision. And did I like it? No, I really wish I could have kept it in Rust. But Rust was my exploratory language, right? It's what I used. It was in the noise section.
Getting your dopamine from the goal. And that.
What was the tool? A way to analyze large sets of data again. And going through. We had no idea how much things were crashing on an internal service. We had no idea. In fact, there was just no answers to anything. So I said, I know how to interact with the MongoDB. I will get out all the data and figure this out myself. That's what I did.
That's why you want to pick the wrong noise. You know what I mean? And that's for everybody different, right? Like, I'm very proficient in Golang because I stick with Golang for 10 years already, right? I saw Golang, I thought it was amazing, and I'm using this for all the time.
Pick mentioned.
Right? That's why I'm very proficient in it. Does it mean that you need to pick Golang? Of course not. You can pick something else. Doesn't really matter. I would pick PHP, for example. Why not?
I will interrupt a little bit on that one. You should pick what has the most overlap for what you want to do. I think that's really important. Like, if you want to learn and be in the embedded world, you should pick C or Zig. Probably C. but maybe Zig. If you want to do certain types of backends, PHP can be very useful. Laravel is fantastic. But you're probably not working at a Fortune 500 company using Laravel. I'm sure there's a couple that actually do use Laravel, but it's not going to quite be the same thing. Using Go, on the other hand, you're probably going to be trying to get into a mid-sized company, right? You're making these choices as you pick a language as well. Laravel is great, to be honest. Yeah, it is. It's incredible. It's the PHP answer against like this crazy JavaScript world. I actually think I think it's very, very nice. Sophons are blocking JavaScript from being good. We're not talking about Trisolarans. All right, anyways, it's just something I'm thinking about.
Because, again, it's all about your goal and solution, and that's where it really, really matters. Right? That's where CEOs and CTOs and companies are looking for, where co-founders are looking for. They're looking for goal-getters, for problem solvers. Right? Because you can be the best engineer in the world. Right? You can be so proficient in your language. You could be, everything about pointers, speed, heap, stack, closures, structure. But you can still suck. You can still be a bad programmer. Why? Because you're focusing on the noise. But that's not needed. You need to focus on your goals. You need to focus on the solution. You need to focus on problem solving.
I have met a lot of people that can solve problems really well and are still bad programmers. I've seen it, okay? I know some very successful programmers that write some really shitty code. And I mean, I think all code's shitty, just so everybody knows. I'm not over here thinking there's good code and bad code. There's bad code and there's worse code, all right?
That's basically what I want to tell you guys. You could say there's a lot of bullshit, but it's not. Trust me, I learned the same.
I don't think it's bullshit.
I learned the mistakes, right? I made a lot of mistakes. You need to do your very, very, very best if you want to make as much mistakes that I made in my life. And still up to date, I make them. Professionally.
I think one of the hardest parts about this is that most people can't learn from someone telling them something. They do have to make some of these mistakes themselves. Now, since you've heard this, maybe the amount of mistakes you will make is less for you to come to a similar understanding. But it is, I personally find it extremely difficult to learn without making mistakes. I mean, that's what experience really is.
But also in life, with friendships and relations, right? Making mistakes every single day. And I need to learn from them, right? And sometimes it takes 3 or 4 mistakes, the same mistakes, and able to learn from them. You know what I mean?
It's true.
I just want to warn you, pick the right tool for the right job.
Ooh, that's a hard one. That's a hard one. Sometimes pick the wrong tool for the right job. I picked TypeScript for a job I should not have picked it for. But it was for the job, not for the tool. Sometimes you got to pick the wrong tool. Sometimes you have to. And I don't think it's great, right? I don't think it's great, right? I'm not happy about it.
Don't be a
pick
slave
the right
of the
job,
meta,
not the right tool.
Because it's changing every single day. Today it's A, tomorrow it's B, and next year it's A again. You know what I mean? And focus on your goal and your solution.
I've seen A come back. That's
and
called
I
PHP.
swear to God, your future will be much brighter than it is right now. See you soon.
Thank you for giving me my own video. And yes, that's Gleam finally released. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, that was great. That was a W, Anthony. That was a pretty good video. I think there's a lot of people that could learn from those things. It's probably better. Hey, by the way, thanks for the hype train that apparently I have 7 minutes left. I do think that there's a lot of wisdom in exploring the noises, in exploring those things, in making mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to goof up, to do the wrong thing. I don't think most people will get to where they want to go without making a few mistakes. Like, the more mistakes I made, the more I realized what I'm interested in. You know, like if you would have asked me what I was interested in day 1, it would be a lot different than what I was interested in day 10. versus year 10 versus year 15, right? It takes, sometimes you gotta explore, sometimes you gotta make mistakes. It's just part of life, you know what I mean? I learn a lot from mistakes. I also learn, I don't like the idea of I learn more from mistakes. I learn a lot from doing something right. When I realized I've done something right, that's also very powerful experience. And also don't delete prod DB. It's really, really bad for you. It just never works. Like that's a mistake you don't need to make, okay? I can tell you right now, that will never go good for you. There's no learning from it, okay? Just don't do it. Again.